The year 1977. In an area of Palo, Montana, facing the Mission Mountain Range, a girl by the name of Valerie was living on a farm with her mother. It was night. All was calm. Suddenly, there was a commotion out by the chicken coops. Haiti the terrier ran out as fast as she could and came back with the perpetrator in tow. The dog put the dead animal down on the kitchen floor, proud of her kill. The animal. It looked like a marten, but not quite. Like a sable, but off. Some kind of mustelid. Light gray fur, dirty white head, darkened marks on its tail, spots on its stomach, and legs that gradiented into black socks. This animal was not identifiable. Not by the girl, not by her mother, not by the wildlife rangers, not by the Fish and Game authorities, not by the local natives, not by the biology professors at Montana University, and not even by the internet. This animal's legacy has ascended beyond the grave. No longer a measly chicken thief, but something far, far greater. This is the story of the Palo Sable, and how it has transcended into a form of immortality. This animal is now officially a cryptid.
When they stumbled across that alleged creature of the night,
Cryptozoology is the study of hidden or unidentifiable animals, creatures cited but never formally documented. Although this definition has definitely been bastardized over the years, with some people claiming that supernatural beings, mythological characters, and even god creepypastas as cryptids. You know, creepypastas, the scary stories made up on the internet. Now then, I don't know about you, but that sounds like a real load of dirty barnacles if you ask me. But my personal favorite cryptids are the plausible cryptids, the realistic ones. There is no Bigfoot, there is no Mossman, and there is no Michaela Mbembe. And a brand new cryptid just dropped. Say hello to the Palo mustelid, also known as the Palo Sable. This animal was found dead by Valerie in Palo, Montana, 1977. As I just assessed in the story, no one could identify this thing. It was such a curious case that this encounter would change Valerie's life forever and lead her down the road of mystery animals. And thus, she discovered the pseudoscience, formerly real science, cryptozoology. She was fascinated with this new concept that we haven't discovered every animal on Earth, and we don't know them all. It wasn't until this year of 2024 that she refined her Photoshop skills just enough to recreate what she saw. And she finally shared her story with the world. And yes, the image you've been seeing throughout this entire video is a recreation of what she saw. There are no other images of this animal due to it being so new. Man, sure is a shame there are no other images of the Palo mustelid. Genkuya, my friend. It is a very unique appearance for an animal, a mismatch of patterns and traits. Its fur felt almost identical to that of a cat, half stripes on the tail, dirty gray fur, dirty white head. And by dirty, I mean the actual color itself, not the animal's hygiene. The legs fade to black, not even a normal black, a faded black. No chest blaze, and probably weirdest of all, spots on the underbelly. Was God just freestyling on this one? Well, that is assuming the Palo mustelid is a creation of God, not a product of, unnatural circumstances, as I will get to later. Never before have I seen quite an animal with traits so recognizable, yet so alien. Well, at least not any that cannot confirm to exist, that is. This animal was small, only the size of an 8-month-old cat. For reference, that's like a subadult cat. Her behavior from the interview, yes, I did an interview with Valerie. I was told that this animal was nocturnal and female. It also either dug out or found a nearby burrow nearby the house, meaning it was not too afraid of humans. Another thing of note, this animal produced a lot of droppings. I feel like that should be, that'll be important later, trust me. Now, for some context on the area, that part of Montana had plenty of native mustelids, especially martins, but none that looked quite like this. The only martins that look remotely like this, like the Palo mustelid, would be the, oh my god, that is absolutely adorable. As I was saying, the only martins that look remotely like the Palo mustelid would be the Japanese Sable. There are also ringtail cats, which, despite the name and their appearance, actually do live in North America and are not feliforms. Their closest relatives is the raccoon. But there was something else in that area of Montana, a fur farm. And according to my interview with Valerie, that fur farm did specialize in mustelids, so it may have escaped from there. But the mustelids in question were minks, not sables or martins, or even fishers for that matter. I can't think of a segue into the next act of this documentary. Theories as to what the Palo Sable could be, least likely to most likely, like an iceberg shark in reverse. Least likely of all is that this animal is an alien
from another planet.
Like a literal extraterrestrial. Why is it least likely? Because that's a stupid theory. Second least likely, the animal is some kind of misidentified/misremembered foreign vivarid. This answer doesn't work because the head isn't just right, and literally no vivarid looks like that. Now, onto the believable territory. Perhaps the creature was a ringtail cat, given that this experience was a core memory for Valerie, and that she heavily denies it being as such, it was probably not. The most fringe but believable theory is that the Palo Sable is a living Hesperocyon. Yes, I put Hesperocyon above ringtail cats. Hesperocyon was the world's first dog. It probably looked like this, and it definitely lived 30 million years ago. Which sounds like a lot, but is not a lot in the grand scheme of things. Both animals are the same size, and their skeletons are nearly identical. On top of that, both lived in North America. Now, the only problem with this theory is that we don't actually know what Hesperocyon's fur looked like, and it would have had to make it all the way to the present without leaving any fossil evidence for over 30 million years. So, it is plausible, but unlikely. Or maybe this Hesperocyon came out of an anomaly. You know, from Primeval. Yeah. You know, like it came out of an anomaly. It also may have been a gray fox with strange patterns for whatever reason. Another likely but unlikely possibility is that I have been lied to and this is all a hoax. But based on what I have heard from Valerie and her story and how this encounter is what led her to discovering cryptozoology, I believe 98% that she's probably telling the truth. One thing I forgot to mention about Valerie is that she works at a wildlife sanctuary and has a graduate degree in biology. Next would be is that it is a brand new species, more likely than that's that same guy again. He's walking back and he's judging me. I can see it in his eyes. I'll tell you what, boy, that old man walking over there at 11 p.m., he's judging me, I'll tell you that, boy. The next is that it would be a brand new species, more likely that it would be a new subspecies. Another plausible explanation that the Palo mustelid is a genetically modified marten of an already known North American species that escaped from the fur farm. Or it could be a foreign species of marten or sable, like the Japanese sable, which sure does look like it. By the way, martens, sables, and fishers are basically the same thing. More plausible than genetic modification conspiracy constructed by fur farms, these are the secrets that big rich people, coach, don't want you to know about. But that's just a theory, a game theory. God, I gotta stop going off script. A much more plausible theory than genetic modification conspiracies is that this is a rare genetic mutation, or just a rare naturally occurring variant, most likely caused by resurfacing relic traits from the Pleistocene, specifically the Ice Age. Because what we know as the Ice Age was just a segment of the Pleistocene. Because, why would a pine marten look like this in the Pleistocene? Because there's like a whole lot more snow around. Therefore, a color pattern like this would be a whole lot more advantageous. But once all the ice is gone, plain brown would be the way to go. And by the way, a relic trait is when, by complete random chance, an organism will be born with a trait it had earlier in evolution. Case in point, humans with tails. But a much more realistic variation of that theory before the previous one would be that the Palo Sable is an escaped result of inbreeding by the fur farm, resulting in strange patterns in a similar vein to the brown panda, which, fun fact, was actually the result of inbreeding. Or the other way around. The inbreeding could have been done specifically for this variant, not by accident. They were purposefully inbreeding them to see what would happen, which is pretty cruel and inhumane. Being kept up in a fur farm may also explain why it wasn't afraid to live around humans, and even prey on their livestock. But this may also be the reason why it pooped so much. It may have been diseased from spending so much time in a cage, although inbreeding could also be the cause of that. I don't have this in the script, but do you remember that drama YouTuber who got canceled a while back for trying to go after a lawyer, Illuminati? She had a dog. The breed is called a Sammy. She had to very unfortunately get her dog from a breeder. And the moment her dog got to her, it was like extremely sick because her Sammy and all of their siblings, they were all just kept up in cages in like some dog Auschwitz or something. But the most likely explanation is that it might have been a Japanese sable whose pattern specifics were either misremembered, genetically modified, or inbred. But if those specifics resurfaced as a relic trait in the Japanese sable that somehow got to America, this answer would be a whole lot less realistic. Or at least that's what I wrote in the earlier version of the script, because I forgot to add in that maybe the traits that we see on the Palo mustelid actually are relic traits in the Japanese sable, and we just don't know why it would have them. Actually, I just got an idea. What if, hear me out, the Japanese sable did have those as relic traits, but as soon as humans came over, they were a whole lot easier to spot. So those traits became relic traits as they were gradually bred out of the population due to human hunting. Huh. So, my final consensus on what the true identity of the Palo mustelid / Palo sable is a tie. One possibility is that it's a pine marten that was either a rare variant or displaying resurfaced relic traits from the Ice Age and somehow managed to survive into adulthood. The other theory, just as likely, is that it's an alien!
I am rubbing my testicles.
Woo! No, I'm just kidding. That this was an escapee from the fur farm, either bred, inbred, or genetically modified in some way to achieve a unique pattern, so rich people can feel special whenever they wear its corpse. Oh, there we go. There's that man again. Hey, he's still walking. Like not even around the block. He's just walking back and forth. Like from one end of the street to the other. Thank you to Valerie for this interview, which should be up shortly after this video. And thank you to and thank you to my friend Q2C. God damn. And thank you to my friend QC2K. I finally got it that time. For the artwork of the Palo Sable. I usually never ask this because it's overdone as hell, but I would greatly appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, and most importantly, shared this video around to increase the chances of someone finding out the true identity of the Palo mustelid. Bye.